Hello, good evening. This is UTV Live.
Tonight at 6, horrendous conditions. An inquest hears from officers who searched the storm drain tunnel in which the body of Noah Donohoe was discovered.
Also ahead, head teachers declare a trade dispute with the Department of Education, saying they face overwhelming pressures.
Your concern really overwhelms you sometimes. It impacts on the quality of sleep. Typically I would be awake at the latest 4 o'clock in the morning.
The Commissioner for Older People tells UTV that the health and social care system is failing an ageing population.
Plus the rest of the day's news, weather and sport, including the search for Derry's war brides as the city pieces together its Second World War history.
A retired police officer has described the horrendous conditions which he encountered in an underground tunnel network while he was searching for Noah Donohoe after he went missing in June 2020.
He told the court that he still thinks about the teenager's last moments all the time and said that he felt a real sense of sadness when he heard that the body had been discovered in the storm drain. Rory O'Regan reports.
This is the periodic table, noble gases stable, halogens and
an inquest looking into the circumstances surrounding Noah Donohoe's disappearance and death is in its 4th week. The 14-year-old was found dead in a storm drain in North Belfast in June 2020, nearly a week after he went missing. A post-mortem examination found the cause of death to be drowning. Today, a retired inspector who was part of the search team looking for Noah continued to give evidence. Philip Menery accessed the underground tunnel via an entrance in Northwood Linear Park, close to where the schoolboy had last been seen. He told the court that at that stage there was no evidence Noah had gone into the storm drain, but that he and his team were looking for anything strange or out of the ordinary. Describing the underground conditions, he said that it was absolutely horrendous and absolutely freezing. Thinking of the teenager being in the tunnel, he said, is heartbreaking. Mr. Menery also spoke about the emotional impact the experience had on his team. He said, being down there and actually taking that route, we had lights, we had everything else. To think of somebody doing that alone, naked, afraid in the dark, I still think about it today. He added, I can't even begin to imagine the hurt, the difficulty, the daily pain that all of this would cause. I think about it all the time. Meanwhile, a barrister representing Noah's mother Fiona, seen here today on the right, suggested that the search of the storm drain neither started nor proceeded with any sense of urgency. Mr. Menery said he disagreed. The inquest continues. Rory O'Regan, UTV Live.
The driver of a bus involved in a single vehicle crash in County Armagh yesterday has died. The police confirmed that the driver died at the scene and that it is being treated as a sudden death.
The bus was carrying 40 pupils from St Paul's High School in Bessbrook and crashed on the Tulla Road near Balleaks. There were no other serious injuries. Daniel Duffy reports.
An everyday journey that ended in tragedy. The driver of a bus died following a road traffic accident in County Armagh yesterday. The bus was carrying 40 pupils from St Paul's High School in Bessbrook when the incident took place on the Tulla Road between Newton Hamilton and Camla. Though none of the children were seriously injured. The road was closed for a time last night as emergency services attended the scene. In a statement, Quinn Coaches said, it was deeply saddened that its dear colleague had passed away. Our first thoughts are with his family, friends and colleagues during this incredibly difficult time. He was a respected and experienced member of our team and he will be greatly missed. The incident has brought shock and sadness to the local community.
Our thoughts go to all the families that are involved here. It has been sadly confirmed that the bus driver has sadly passed away. Locally and with students, he was well known and very well got, so our thoughts are with his family also. And look, I think it's right just to thank the emergency services for doing such a swift and professional job.
In a statement, St Paul's High School said the school has sought advice and guidance from the Education Authority's Critical Incident Response Team, and personnel from this team will be available to support pupils affected by the incident. The thoughts and prayers of St Paul's community are extended to everyone affected by this serious incident.
Speaking to the principal across the road here, Dahi Murray, he's very, very proud of the way his pupils responded in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of an emergency. They showed massive courage, massive composure, and performed CPR on the bus driver and tried to save his life and looked after each other and made sure everybody got to safety. And it's miraculous that there weren't more people hurt or injured or killed. And again, once more, my thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the deceased.
A tragic accident that will leave a scar on this community forever. Daniel Duffy, UTV Live in South Armagh.
The National Union of Head Teachers in Northern Ireland has launched a trade dispute with the Department of Education. School leaders have raised concerns about work-life balance, school maintenance and excessive administration.
The union says it wants a meeting with employers to help resolve issues within 14 days, or they will ballot for strike action. Jordan Moore reports.
Leaking roofs, worn walls and patchwork repairs. Not the ideal scenario for running a school, but the one faced by head teachers. Sean McNamee has been principal at St Paul's Primary in West Belfast for 11 years.
That's brilliant, thank you.
On top of navigating an ageing building, he's gained an education in everything from counselling to an admin role, and he says it's becoming too much.
It's a lot harder than I ever imagined it would be. I didn't realise what I had signed up for at the time that I took on the role. It impacts on the quality of sleep. Typically I would be awake at the latest 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I have Teams meetings in the evening. Sometimes I'm on the computer doing emails, maybe filling out reports, looking at the budget. You're constantly carrying something around. Even if it's not physical that you're having to do, mentally and emotionally you're carrying something.
Such is the pressure that the National Union of Head Teachers has declared a trade dispute with the Department of Education over workload, school maintenance and funding pressures. For principals of SEN schools like Joanne White at Clarawood in East Belfast, leaky roofs can turn a puddle into a storm of issues.
When you're having to navigate children round buckets in corridors and just inside their classrooms, that takes away their concentration or their ability to focus on what they're supposed to be doing in class.
School leaders want a meeting with the Department of Education within 14 days, or they say a ballot for strike action will take place. They want a reduction in workload, emergency intervention to address pressures in SEN, increased maintenance and guidance on working hours. In a statement, the department said it is committed to addressing the issue of teacher and school leader workload and ensuring that they can focus on what matters most. The Minister and department have shown undoubted commitment to tackling excessive workload and would urge the union to agree a resolution to this issue.
The department would need to take extensive measures to give us back our profession and treat us as professionals. We are becoming the highest paid admin people there are in the country.
Long hours, lots of admin and crumbling school infrastructure is literally peeling away the joy of the job for many school leaders. And for many, they've had enough. Jordan Moore, UTV Live.
MLAs have been warned that Stormont faces an overspend next year of up to £1 billion. Experts told the Finance Committee that the financial situation is unprecedented.
Westminster stepped in earlier this month to make £400 million available to allow departments to balance their books this year, but that money has to be repaid over the next 3 years. Here's our economics correspondent, Jordan Motes.
For many, the bumpy drive along our roads sums up the unstable nature of finances here. These black holes are physical, the ones at Stormont are financial. While work is underway to fill these potholes, the financial difficulties at Stormont are projected to get worse over the next 12 months. A panel of economic experts warned MLAs the overspend coming could be significant amid an unprecedented situation.
Unless departments take very radical steps to reduce their spending, there will be significant overspends next year. On Pivotal's numbers, on numbers that I've looked at, for comparison, total spending by departments has increased by between 5 and 6% every year in cash terms over recent years. If departments continue to do more of the same, I would estimate, and again, this is my numbers, I would estimate an overspend of 800 million to 1 billion or possibly more next year.
It's a warning, however, that was a reality for this year. Some departments found savings while others overspent. The message for months from Westminster was clear: you have to live within your means. That was until Westminster changed its mind and gave the executive a payment plan over the next 3 years. With £400 million now in the government credit card, it adds another layer of difficulty.
Any assessment of the current position must also consider the internal discipline of the Executive's own budgetary framework. The absence of clear targets and costed outcomes and defined responsibility for delivery can weaken fiscal control. In the absence of that discipline, overspends are obscured. It is no longer clear whether they arise from conscious policy decisions or from a funding allocation that assumes Northern Ireland can deliver public services on a par with the rest of the UK despite different levels of need.
Only this week, the pay review body recommended a 3.3% pay rise for health service staff. They estimate that would cost £120 million. So the same issues are cropping up year on year.
As politicians, you will be very aware that there is an increasing public expectation that government needs to solve every problem, a culture that was likely exacerbated by the pandemic. That approach would be fine if we could afford it, but we can't. I recognise that stopping funding for a particular area is unpopular, which creates obvious challenges. However, there is a need to recognise that sometimes unpopular decisions are the right decisions.
There is a draft multi-year budget from the Finance Minister. It hasn't been agreed by other parties, and it's looking more likely that won't happen before it should take effect in April. Jordan Motes, UTV Live.
The Presbyterian Church in Ireland says that if we want to do safeguarding well, it will cost money.
At a special General Assembly meeting in Belfast, over 400 ministers and elders were given an update on how the church is progressing its safeguarding measures in light of the serious failings which were revealed in November. Eden Wilson was there.
This was the second special General Assembly sitting in just 2 months, and it was said today that in itself shows the significance of the situation the Presbyterian Church in Ireland finds itself in right now. You'll remember back in November, the Church revealed there had been serious and significant failings in central safeguarding functions within the Church between 2009 and 2022. Now, there is a live criminal investigation into those failings, so we didn't get any detail about the safeguarding failings today, but what we did find out yesterday is that all 530 plus congregations were sent a letter by the Church at the request of police saying, do not destroy any safeguarding records. Now, today we got an update about what the Presbyterian Church is doing in the background while an investigation by the police and the Charity Commission is underway. All 400 ministers and elders were told today that a safeguarding department has now been set up and that to do safeguarding properly within the church, money needs to be spent.
The staff are working very hard and with great effectiveness. Policies and procedures are being updated, with documents being improved. Naturally, it will take time for matters to bed in, with appropriate staffing levels being addressed. Recruitment of a head of department and suitably equipped officers, including a safeguarding lead, is being progressed. The bottom line is, if we want to do safeguarding well, and we do, it will cost money.
The Special General Assembly was told that safeguarding materials like policies and procedures for use in congregations, as well as current safeguarding protocols, are all being looked into and are all progressing. We're likely to get an update on that when they meet again in June at the annual General Assembly. Eden Wilson, UTV Live.
Kilrea Bridge is fully open to vehicles this evening. The bridge over the River Bann was closed after cracks were found across the structure. While the main works have finished, several repairs to the bridge still need to be completed.
The Olympic gold medal gymnast Rhys McClenaghan has received his MBE at Windsor Castle. The 26-year-old from Newton Ours was honoured after he created history by winning Ireland's first gold in gymnastics in the pommel horse at the Paris Olympics in 2024. He said that it's a huge honour to receive the gong and that he hopes to raise the profile of his sport.
Over 4,000 people have applied to join the PSNI. More than 65% of those who applied are Protestant and 26% are Catholic. Meanwhile, 63% of applicants are male and 36% are female. The Chief Constable has reiterated his appeal for those from all backgrounds to consider a career in policing.
Now, still to come on the programme, we talk to the Commissioner for Older People about a new report which says that the current healthcare system is failing an ageing population.
The search for Londonderry war brides as the city pieces together its World War II history.
And we have had some sleet and snow over the tops of the hills today. Plenty of rain around. What does the forecast have in store for tomorrow? I'll have all of the details coming up shortly.
But first, it's time to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Here's Geraint Vincent.
Surrey's police force calls for witnesses to come forward after human trafficking claims emerge from the Epstein files. It comes as new emails show Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's team tried to get Epstein's help to counter the sexual assault allegations against him 4 years after he said he'd cut contact. The rate of inflation drops to 3%. Could an interest rate cut be next? And unseen doodles discovered in a letter provide a touching insight into the late Queen's childhood. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Older people across Northern Ireland say that they feel increasingly shut out from the health and social care systems despite having paid into them for their entire working lives. That's according to a new report released today by the Commissioner for Older People. Earlier I was joined by the Commissioner, Siobhan Casey. What does this report reveal?
It reveals that older people feel really sort of disillusioned, and it's causing a lot of anxiety to them in terms of accessing the health and social care services that they need. They talk about not being able to get access to GP appointments, about long waiting lists, and the distress that this is causing them, in terms of accessing, if they want to keep themselves well, you get access and the help to do that.
Why do they feel shut out?
They feel shut out because many of them are saying it's repeated calls to GPs. Some of them are saying it can take 100 calls to get access to a GP.
That's widespread though, it's not just among older people.
No, it's not just among older people, and I accept that. But the reason is that older people are the greatest users of the healthcare service at the minute, and they're a good barometer of what's right or what's wrong. So my role as Commissioner is to make sure that their voices are heard, and I have heard it repeatedly. I have had consultation with 1,200 older people, but I've also met about 2,500, and every time the number one issue is access to services.
We are an ageing population, so does this mean the situation is going to deteriorate further?
It means that if we don't get it right today for older people, then people coming through can expect it to be a lot worse. In the last 10 years, there's over 100,000 more people over 60, and then there's less care home beds, there's less social care packages, there's long waiting lists. So it's the reform that we need today and the action that we need today will support older people today, but it's also the large demographic of older people that are coming through.
So what needs to change?
What needs to change is we need to be able to keep people at home for longer. That's where older people want to be. We need to get our acute care services at home, more widespread across Northern Ireland, and not a postcode lottery depending on where you live. We need to be more consistent. So we need to get more into the community care. But there's the whole prevention agenda as well to help younger older people stay and live better for longer.
Is money the answer?
I don't think money can be the answer at the minute because we know how limited it is. It's creative thinking. It's about implementing the plans that have already been made over the last 10 years and getting the reform in place that's required, and action's needed now.
Siobhan Casey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Belfast Giants Challenge Cup semi-final second leg tonight at the SSC Arena has been postponed after their opponents' Coventry Blaze flight was cancelled. All tickets remain valid for the rescheduled date, which will be announced in due course.
Well, turning to sport now, and in the Irish Cup last night, 4 goals by Jordan Jenkins and a penalty saw Glentoran beat amateur side Drummond Mills 5-0. Meanwhile, in the Irish Premiership, Ballymena United moved 3 points clear of the Crusaders with a 2-0 victory at the Showgrounds. A floodlight failure at Shamrock Park saw the match between Portadown and Cliftonville suspended. Linfield had a 4-1 win away to Dungannon Swifts.
Doing the basics well, and I'm working hard every day, and again you get a couple of wins and you start to get that confidence, and the levels are going up, as you can see. So again, listen, we'll keep working hard. We understand that football can be a strange game at times, and hits you when you think you're on a high, so we'll not become complacent or anything like that. We'll keep working hard and get ready for the next game.
We've conceded too many goals. I've said this before. Our goals against column isn't good enough, and that's my responsibility in terms of identifying the problems or where the problems are lying and trying to improve them.
The brother of footballer Michael Newbury, who died by suicide in December 2024, has finished a 160-mile run raising awareness and money for mental health. Adrian Salem has been tracing the route of his brother, and he stopped off at Solitude Stadium before finishing at Windsor Park this afternoon. His journey began last week at St James's Park.
I'm tired, but it's euphoric at the same time. Just obviously keeping my little brother's name alive, and just his memory, and just everybody showing the support over the past 6 days has just been immense. Literally has. On the run when it's been hard, thinking about my little brother, he would just, I would never give up for my little brother. Never in a million years. I would run around the world for him.
In this week's UTV Extra Mile podcast, Carol Jordan sits down with Teresa Kelly, a volunteer for Foyle Hospice, where her sister Sarah died of secondary breast cancer a few years ago.
In a cruel twist of fate, Teresa herself now lives with incurable secondary breast cancer, but she says the work of the hospice is a comfort to her and to her family.
Anybody who receives a diagnosis of an incurable cancer, the first thing you think of automatically is, I'm going to die, and I'm going to die soon. For some people that is the case. For me, I'm hoping it's not. But to know that the hospice is there and will be there for me when I need them, that gives me massive comfort, Carol. And not only the fact that they will be there for me, but they will be there for my family. And I can face what's coming down the road for me. Hopefully it's a long way down the road, but I can face it knowing that there are people who are going to look after me, take care of me, and take care of my family.
And you can catch the Extra Mile on ITVX or wherever you receive your podcasts.
Londonderry's role as a major naval base for the Allies during the Battle of the Atlantic is well documented, but there's another more romantic side to the city's wartime story.
And to tell it, an appeal has been made for a 1940s wedding dress worn by one of the many Derry girls who married American servicemen. If it's found, it will be displayed in a special exhibition in a brand new museum. Our Northwest correspondent Gareth Wilkinson has the story.
And depth charges applied as
war raged and romances blossomed. American soldiers who came to fight the Nazis also found love. Derry played a vital role in the Battle of the Atlantic. Thousands of GIs stationed there later returned home to the USA with local brides.
I think the stat was roughly around about 2,000 GI brides that would have went away. So there was ships that were called Derry bride ships as well. So there was quite a lot of people that left, a lot of young women left. But think about the excitement of setting off a new land, a new world. But it's a great connection for us.
Now the search is on for a wedding dress worn by a wartime bride to take pride of place in a new multi-million-pound museum and tell a different side to Derry's Second World War story.
That is what we are trying to capture by this public call for a wedding dress, a 1940s wedding dress, because it's really important for us to get that story of the place and that story of the people.
The Derry Londonderry on the North Atlantic Museum is under construction. It will be known as the DNA Museum, and many of the artefacts currently held in the city's Tower Museum will be transferred there.
It's all very military orientated artefacts.
Very much so.
There's something missing, it's the dress.
Absolutely,
That's really what, yeah.
absolutely. And everyone loves a romance story. Who knows? It could be in the attic. It could be something that has been passed down through generations, through the family. And there's something very tangible about a wedding dress. It's something very emotive, and it just touches the heart.
It's a transatlantic appeal for a Derry girl's wedding dress from a time when bombs rained from the sky and when love was in the air. Gareth Wilkinson, UTV Live, Derry.
Well, back to today now. It's been another miserable one.
Here's Louise with the forecast.
Whatever the weather, there's a warm outlook. UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Arona R290 heat pump.
Hello there, good evening. We have a yellow warning for snow and rain in place for the next couple of hours. We had some snowfall over the Glenshane Pass along the Coleraine Mountain Road today. Visibility became quite poor for a time. Elsewhere, we had plenty of outbreaks of rain and some brisk blustery winds. Now, low pressure continues to dominate our weather. It will do so over the next couple of days, but you will notice a slight change in temperatures. It's quite cool and chilly out there today. Milder air will start to filter in as we head towards the end of the week and into the weekend, but it will remain rather unsettled at times. Tonight, further outbreaks of rain continuing for a time, becoming drier overnight. Quite a lot of cloud around. Where we have any breaks in the cloud, we could see a patchy frost forming during the early hours. Temperatures, though, for most places will stay above freezing, lows of around 3 degrees Celsius. The winds will ease down, but it will remain fairly blustery along coastal areas. Tomorrow morning, 1 or 2 outbreaks of rain for a time, becoming drier then, but into the afternoon, showery outbreaks of rain will filter in from the west. A few glimmers of sunshine following behind that. But again, it's a breezy day, westerly winds moving through, temperatures reaching highs of 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. Across the rest of Ireland, outbreaks of rain pushing west to east, some brighter spells following behind that. But temperatures on the mild side holding up around 10, possibly 11 degrees Celsius with freshening winds around coastal areas. Over the next couple of days, the temperatures will slowly start to increase as we head towards the weekend. We continue to see some showers, some of which will become quite heavy on Friday morning, becoming lighter into the afternoon. Unsettled though as we head through into the weekend and remaining fairly breezy at times. That's the very latest. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Arona R290 heat pump.
That's it this Wednesday, the 18th of February. Paul will be back with the late bulletin at around 10:30.
The ITV Evening News continues with Geraint Vincent. From Rose, from me and the rest of the Tea Time team, good evening.
Good evening.